Hello all and welcome to Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on this gorgeous little Lovey, pumpkin Lovey that you see right here. Now this lighting here doesn't do it justice, but it's fairly late in the afternoon, guys. You'll see a photo in the promo there anyway in the beginning of the piece, and you can see him gorgeous there. In the meantime, guys, I would like to thank some of our subscribers who actually really put into my head they'd like to see pumpkins. Now, we've done pumpkins in the past before, and there's one right there on the screen. Don't you love it? It's nice and big. It's not as small as our little Lovey here. So if you wanted to create that pumpkin, you can go ahead and do that. But for today, in today's tutorial, you will only be creating the actual pumpkin itself. And then in a couple of days' time, I will be uploading the dress part or the skirt part or the blanket part, whatever you like to call it, all right? In the meantime, what you will need for this whole piece here today, you will need 103 grams is what I used, okay? I used about 48 grams of the green and maybe 53 or 54 grams of the orange. So get rid of some of your scraps and use your scraps to make your piece. Now, I did say in part 2 the length should have been between 6 and 8 inches. Mine measured 7 inches. In fact, I'll get the measuring tape now. The dress itself, that's the wrong way around, excuse me. The dress itself measures just over 7 inches or about 18 centimeters worth right there. You can see that there, all right? But it doesn't matter, yeah? You can make yours as long or as short as you want, but anything between 6 and 8 inches or 16 to 20 try it again, 16 to 20 centimeters in length would be fine. The little head guy, well, he's, I don't know, the size of our hands cupped. You'll need some of that poly fluff and wool and fluff, whatever you want to call it, the white fluff, yeah? You'll need some of that. You'll need tiny little bit of green for the top. I don't fill that in, that's just crocheted, and then we sew it to it. What else? You will need 3 things though, all right? You'll need, and get this, I used 3 hooks. Now, you don't have to use 3 hooks if you don't want to. However, when you're making the pumpkin, make sure you use a smaller hook than the yarn calls for, just to keep it tighter so that when you polyfill it, you don't see all the white, all right? So I used a 3.5 for the pumpkin and the green thing on the top. I used, try that again, a 4mm for the dress, the actual dress or blanket if you will, or whatever you want to call it, a skirt, yeah. And I used a 4.5mm for the edging, which I thought would be better for me to keep my work, stopping it from curling up. And I'm pretty glad I did now. If I used a 4mm hook for this edging, it would really be turning up and curling. Right now it's curling a tiny little bit, only because it's fresh. Once we start getting the use out of it, it will settle nicely, all right? So I did use 3 hooks, not necessary. You could get away with 2. You could use a 3.5 for the head. I would still use a 3.5 for his head and use the 4 for the rest. But if you have the 3 sizes, by all means, use this guy for the very final round in part 2. You don't need that for this part. You need these. No, you only need this for this part. You need some stitch markers and a sewing needle, and I've got lots of stuff there. So you will need a sewing needle. You're going to have a lot of threads, okay? But in this part, not so much. In this one here, you'll have a lot of threads, but I also show you how to carry up your yarn if you don't like weaving in ends. That's in part 2, all right? Part 1, we are just creating the little guy's head. You will need scissors. You won't need measuring tape. No, we're not worried about the size of him. It's the average size. I give you the amount of rows you need, and that's pretty much it. For this piece here today, however, all you need is probably about 10, 15 grams, maybe 20 maximum. That's maximum, so you won't even need so much, all right? But you will need that white fluff and stuff for this tutorial because we close him up and polyfill him and fill him up, yeah? All right, that's about it. My tutorials, they go a long time, guys. So I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to let you head off on your own, creating your gorgeous pumpkin Lovey. Good luck all. Alrighty guys, we're going to start off by making a slip knot. Grab the tail end of your yarn, wrap it around your finger once and twice, and you are holding it there and holding it down there. Grab your back loop, pass it halfway over your finger, hold it there, grab the other loop, passing it all the way over, pop your hook in and give everything a tug. All right, we're going to chain 16. And a chain is yarn over your hook. Oh, we're so far away. Let's try that again. Yarn over your hook, pull a loop through, 1. Yarn over, pull through, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so what I want you to do is chain 16. So we've done 4, 5, 6, don't do them too tight, 7, 8, 9, 10, and don't do them too loose either, by the way, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. All right, so what we want to do is chain one more, which is actually 17, that doesn't count, and yarn over your hook. We're going to do a half double crochet in each stitch across. That's half double US, half treble UK. You're going to omit that first stitch that we have there, jump right into the very next stitch, pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. You need to grab a stitch marker, and we're going to pop that stitch marker in the top 2 loops of the stitch you just created. Hold it there. All right, now in every loop, top loop that you see here, you're going to pop a half double crochet US, half treble UK. You're already in that stitch and you can see that. So pop the yarn over your hook, make sure you don't go into the same stitch, go right into the next stitch and do your half double. 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and again into the next, and again into the next. It's simple, and that's the stitch you are doing all the way across your piece. All right, so yarn over your hook, into the stitch, pull a loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. All right, so I'm going to pop this on fast, and I want you to get to the end of this row right here where there's just before the knot, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next, and off we go. You can actually slow your video down if you like. Alrighty, so we're almost there. I'm going to get you a close-up so you can see where I'm at. Alright, I've got 1 stitch left there with a little knot sitting off the base of that stitch. So pop your hook in and do your final half double US, half treble UK. And you'll have that tiny little knot sitting there. Ignore it for now. Alright, so you may have noticed before I kept splitting the yarn, but that was because I'm using a smaller size hook than we need. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to count our stitches across. How we count them is we count these little V's that you see right here. Alright, so I'm going to count the V's now, and off we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. You should have 16 half double crochets across or 16 half trebles. Okay, so yarn over your hook. So we're going to start again. This time we're going to chain 1, like so. Turn our work. You can turn it this way or you can turn it this way, whichever suits you. I just turn my work like I'm turning the page in a book. So the first stitch, you're going to pop your half double crochet, and you can see it right there. You ignore the chain you did before, and you're popping a half double crochet in that stitch. And it's the space, that very first space you see. Pop your hook in and you do the same half double crochet you've been doing all along. Grab your stitch marker. Now if you don't have stitch markers, safety pins, paper clips, piece of thread, whatever you have, all right? So then here, we're not going to do that stitch. We're still doing a half double, but what we want to do is turn our work and do our half double in the very last loop you see. So you've got that loop, loop 1, loop 2, and loop 3. So pop your hook in that loop, pull your loop through 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Yarn over your hook, skip that 1 loop, the 2 loops, and right in that back loop there, you're doing your half double crochet. 1, 2, half in your back. Okay, 1, 2, half in the back. All right, hoping that makes sense. I'm hoping I'm not going too fast. Let me slow that down a little bit. Just the stitch itself, yarn over your hook, you skip that base loop, that top loop, and you go right into the back loop there without it blurring and continue along. So skip, skip, and into the back right there and continue your work. All right, I'm going to pop this on fast and we'll get to the end of the row and I will meet you there. All right, so we are here at the end of the row. I do have 2 stitches left, you can see them. So I'm going to pop my hook in that second last stitch like I've been doing all along. But when I get to this stitch, I'm popping my hook into the whole stitch like so. All right, remove your stitch marker, chain 1, and that is your repeat row. All right, so flip your work, you're repeating that row that you just did again. So yarn over your hook, go into the first stitch like normal, yeah, like normal, and pop your stitch marker in there. That's a full stitch you're going into, not any loops, yeah. Then when you want to do this row, yarn over your hook, half in your back. Yarn over your hook, half in your back, right? So you're just doing, you're just doing that into your stitch all the way across, your stitches all the way across, I should say. And that's pretty much it. Don't lose your thread like I do. It's only because I'm working with a smaller hook. You guys will be working with a smaller hook as well, yeah? All right, so I'm not going to sit here and let you watch me do this. This is simple. What you need to do, however, by the way, you should still have 16 single crochets across. Make sure you're counting your single crochets in every row, okay? And we've done 1, 2, and this is the 3rd one that we're starting. But just ignore that 3rd one. We've done 2 rows. What you need to do is another 17 rows, exactly the same. In that 3rd loop, right at the back, chain 1, turn, in the single crochet, and then in the 3rd loop all the way across, get into the last stitch in the single crochet, and you do that all the way across. Now, again, it's entirely up to you. No matter what you do, you need to repeat this row for another 17 more rows is what I did, but you can do 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, but know that you are only doing an odd amount of rows. So what you want to do now is head off on your own, do the next 17 more rows. Again, you can use any other number if you like, but I'm doing 17. Meet me back here once you're done, and then we will talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so I asked you to do 17 rows. You could have done 19, you could have done 21, you could have done 23, or you could have done 15 or 13, whatever you wanted to do, so long as it was an odd amount of rows. Now the reason being is because right here, this is our first starting chain, our starting loop, and then we chained along this way, we turned, did our half double crochets this way. So this way is the right side of our work. All right, so what you want to do is finish off this last stitch, which is the one that I haven't finished off. So we're going to do try that again, half double crochet in that very last stitch, like so. Remove your stitch marker, chain 1. Now what you want to do here is turn your piece like that, and your tail, base of your tail should be up the top now, and your working end should be down the base. So now what you're going to do is lift everything up like so, and you are going to slip stitch across. Your first stitch, you can go directly into that first stitch, just for a bit more reassurance for this particular piece. All right, so you're in the first stitch on this side, and you're in the first stitch on the other side, just keeping the tail down for a moment, and pull your loop through like so, and then pull it through to the loop on your hook. Now you're wanting to go into the back loop. You've got your first 2 loops there. It's the very last loop that you've been working in. Go into that one. So you're in this one here. You want to go into the top loop of your very next stitch, which is there. Being careful not to go into the same stitch you are in. You're into the very next stitch. Pull a loop through, pull it through to that loop, and pull it through to the loop on your hook. All right, turn your work to you, back loop, just being careful where you are. Go into the next back loop. It's a little tricky. Pull the loop through, pull it through, and pull it through to the loop on your hook. So we're going to do that all the way across. Okay, like so. And I'm thinking this is going to take me a little while because I'm being very careful. So what we might do is pop it on fast, and I'll get to around here and meet you there in just a moment. And off we go. Alright, we are on our last 2 stitches. A little tricky here. I forgot to put a stitch marker on the base and leave one there, but that's okay. Let's get a close up so you can see what I'm doing. Real close, hey? That's very close. It's probably too close, but anyway. There's the back loop of your second last stitch and the top loop of your second last there. Did you see me splitting my yarn all the way through? And you want to go into the same stitch with this one and into the whole stitch with the other one. Pull your loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Remove that stitch marker, and then all you're doing is chaining 1. Pull up that loop for one moment. Make it a nice tall loop. Sorry, I'll bring that out. Make it a nice tall loop. You're going to need that thread to weave in, but closing up your piece. All right, so grab your scissors and cut your work. All right, just give it a gentle tug. Did we do a chain 1? I don't remember if I did a chain 1. Looks like I did, but anyway, grabbing your needle. Now, if you've got one of these little guys right here with a little flick, that's great. If you haven't, make sure it's thick enough to go through the ridges of your piece like that. Yeah, make sure you've got a needle thick enough for that. So grab that last thread that we just did, like so. And what I want you to do from here is go into that first ridge. So you're going around, and I wouldn't go up the top there. I would go into that first stitch there. And you're going around the ridge, okay? And into the first space that you see right there. Like that, yeah? Then you're going to jump. Just for the start, you might have what I've got here, very big area. Jump into that space there and go into the back of the ridge there. It doesn't matter how this is done, okay? This, we are closing it up. Where are we there? Yeah, we're closing it up just to, so we can put our fluff and spiel thingy in it. I don't know what it's called, fluff and buff and thing. Yeah, so just do it any way you want, as long as you can eventually just pull it like that to close shut. So don't make these too small. Make them, relatively big, like that. All right, and there we go. Keep going. Oh, I shouldn't have done that, hey? Let's bring it out here. If you go into the gaps too much, it will be too high. You don't want that. You want to bring it down a tiny little bit, not all the way down to third stitch or anything, but just above that second stitch area there. And we're almost there, guys, almost there. Check it out like so. Are we there? I think we are. I think this was the last one right here. We're going to do that last one again, like so. And then all I want you to do is pull it shut like that. All right. When we did our last one, we didn't do it. We did it this way, but we did it a little different. Okay. So all you're going to do with this is grab your needle and go through, make sure it's closed real tight, and just go through a whole lot of thicknesses. See how I've gone through there? And weave it in. Go into another area and go through some thicknesses like so. Don't stress too much how this looks underneath. It's not going to be noticed, but you still want to do, like, you know, a relatively decent job. And just keep going through some thicknesses. Don't make it too low though. Make it all the way up the top. We're going to tighten this up so that we can put our stuffing in it, yeah? Whoops, whoops. I see a lot of that sticking out. We're going to fix that up in a minute. I don't know, must have gone a bit low on that one. And it's just tightened it up there, yeah? Once you feel that's enough, I wouldn't fuss too much with it. You want to actually just weave it in like you would any other tail. And if you want to change your thread, you can. So I'm just going to weave around like so. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. All right, just go back the other direction. Like so. I went quiet there. Sorry, guys, it happens. Now, the builders have quietened down a little bit. Let's hope they stay that way. All right, so there you go. It's only because it's about to rain here in Melbourne. If we were to turn that inside out or in the right way, that's what it will look like. That is the base of your pumpkin head, or the top, whichever. It doesn't matter, yeah? So either way, you're going to do the same thing here. But I've left my tail a little too small. I may have to grab a new tail. You know, I'm thinking it's probably a wise idea to grab a new tail and just weave this end in for me. I'm going to do that off air and I'll meet you back here in just a moment. Alrighty guys, so I've even made a little base and weave that in as well. Look how long my tail is now. So the same thing you're going to do here, but you're not going to pull it shut. Alright, you're still on the wrong side of your work, yeah? And you're only going to, where am I? I'm here. I'll just put it through there. Just put it through, don't pull it. You're going to leave it open. And the reason is because we're going to stuff it before you pull it shut, yeah? And because this is the last one, just be careful. I went a bit low there. Don't make it too low. Okay, make it a little bit high. Make sure you're on your second stitch, if that helps. There's your first and there's your second right there. Don't make it on your first because it'll be too noticeable, I think, yeah? And there's actual, you know what? You can put it anywhere you want. I'm just being a little fussy and I'm using the ridges as a way to get through the stitches, but you can use anything you want. Just give yourself a distance between, like give yourself, see how much of a big gap that is. It's almost like my nail, the pinky nail. So that way it can pull shut nicely rather than tugging and pulling in one area. You're going to give yourself a similar space all the way through, and we're almost there. I'm almost there, right there. Now before I pull that through, we're going to turn it in the right way, like so. Yeah. And then you're going to grab your fluff and fluffs. That might be too much. Let's grab this one, right? I've got like a little hand cup full, yeah? Try that. Try not to lose your needle. If you lose your needle, you can rethread it. You're going to need it later to tighten it up and close it up. I don't think that's enough. We're going to pop more in it. We want our head to be kind of round and not just flat like that. We want it to sort of it's like an oval shape that way. We're getting there. A little bit more. You put as much as you like. If you find you don't like it too heavy for your young one to hold and you want it a lot smaller, you know, it's up to you. Because usually they hold the base of the dress anyway. So I think that's plenty. If you were to tug it closed now, that should close up like that. And there's your mini pumpkin head. Yeah. So it's entirely up to you. If you want to stuff a little bit more in there, you can. There is no wrong or right way of doing your pumpkin. All right. I only liked it a little bit flat like that. All right. Because I wanted to keep it down. So it's not oval shape, is more, I don't know what you want to call it, flat oval rather than pointy oval. I don't know what to call it. All right. So we're here. What you want to do now is just start weaving in ends like you did before, but we're doing it underneath, and don't worry about if it's going to be seen because it won't. You'll have the little dress attached there, or the gown, or whatever you want to call that. I don't know. I'm going to call it a dress. You know, it's up to you what you want to call it. Doesn't matter. And that's all you're doing. You're going through the little bits. Oops, whoops. Too thick. Excuse me. Yep, keep going through. Once you've gotten it real closed, then you can kind of go in and out like we did before with the top of it, you know, just sort of like that. And again, no one's going to see this. It's going to be closed with the dress. Yeah. If I can get it in. Oh, it's really thick. But that's a good thing. You want that to be thick, yeah? It's the idea to keep it closed so it doesn't come undone. At the end of the day, you don't want little one to have to worry about giving it to you to fix up every 5 minutes. So do it as much as you want. All right. When you get to a section where you realise no more is going to be done, all you want to do is pop your needle right through. But what I'm doing here, so you can see it, I'm going through the whole thickness of the poly fluff and fill and fluff and fluffs. And just do it lightly that way. And do it again the other way in a different direction, but through the whole fluff and fluffs, not just the top bit, yeah? And that's it. That's pretty much it. Your piece is done. Now you can decide whether that's the base or the top. I'd like to put that as the base because it's sewn up on the outside, and the other side is the top because it's sewn up on the inside. So at the moment, if you wanted just to have a small pumpkin, there you go. There's your small pumpkin, yeah? Alrighty guys, now we're going to be doing the stem of the pumpkin, and how we do that is simply like this. What we'll do is we'll still use the 3.5mm hook to do this part. Alright, what we're going to do now is pop our tail in front. Yeah, I'm going to form a magic loop. Okay, 2 fingers there. Wrap your yarn around your 2 fingers like so, forming a little X. Yeah, and grab the 3.5mm hook, or whatever hook you use to create your pumpkin. Pop it under the first loop, grab that back loop, pull it up and through, and you've got your 1 and 2 in front. You want to grab all of it like that. Yeah, chain 1, and we're going to do a single crochet US, double crochet UK in that space, which means popping your hook in the space, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both those loops. Just give your piece, your little tail, a little bit of a tug. You want to leave some space in there to make some single crochets. But in the meantime, grab a stitch marker, a small one, because it's going to get a little tight. Okay, this round, I should say. From here, we're going to pop a second single crochet in there. So pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both those loops. You now have 2. You need to do 2 more. So there's your 3rd one, and there's your 4th one. There. So what you're going to do now, that little tail you've got there, you're going to give it a tug and close this center. So close it all up like so. Pop your tail at the back. All right. And now you're just going to pop a single crochet. Let me get close for you. It's not that close, is it? Okay. You want to pop a single crochet in the stitch with your stitch marker. Not a slip stitch, a single crochet. Pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both those loops, remove that stitch marker, being careful not to let your center, your little piece turn, and just pop it in the top 2 loops of that stitch you just created. I said it was going to be a little awkward, yeah? In the same stitch, you're doing a second single crochet, all in the same stitch, yeah? Then from here, in the next stitch, you're doing 2 single crochets. It's going to be a little difficult for you to find, but really get in there and find it. So 1 single crochet, a second single crochet. Just move forward a bit there, guys. Okay, and now we're doing 2 into the next stitch. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, and 2 into the very last stitch. 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets. Hold it there. Now if you played your cards right and you did your count correct, you would have 8 single crochets. How you can tell is you are counting these little V looking things. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and your 8th is the last one we just did. All right. And from here, you're going to pop a single crochet in the stitch marker stitch, like that. Remove your stitch marker and replace it in that stitch. What you're going to do is work on the 8 stitches. That's your first one. And you're just going to do a single crochet in every stitch. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7, and 8. Yeah, then I'm just pushing it in just so it's easy for me to work into, like just push that center in. Yeah, single crochet in your stitch marker stitch. 1, and remove it. I told you it was going to be a little awkward. Let's do it this way. It's going to start curling up now, so it's going to be fairly awkward. That's what we want. That's the look we're going for, yeah? All right, so once again, you're doing your single crochets in the round. Again, pushing it forward only because it helps you find the very next stitch. So you're in this one right here. You want the very next one, which is there. 2, 3, we're in that one, go into the next one. 4, 5, 6, 7, last one, 8. All right, so as you go, your work is going to curl in like that anyway. When you get it to a certain size that you want for your pumpkin, then you cast off. Now I think that's a little too small. I'm going to do one more row and I think that should do it. All right, so we're going to pop this row on fast and we're all going to complete this row, and off we go doing our 8 single crochets, starting with the one in our hook, in our stitch marker. So off we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so once again, my work is pulling. Once again, check it. You may not like this height. You might, I just pulled the thread there, can you believe it, with my nail. You might like a different height. I'm pretty happy with that, yeah? So all I'm going to do now is slip stitch into the stitch with your stitch marker and then cast off, and then we're going to sew it to our piece, yeah? So let's slip stitch into that stitch with your stitch marker, like so. Remove that stitch marker, pull up a loop and cut your work. That's how simple that one was. And in fact, I'm not going to weave that end in. Oh, actually you should weave it in because it was only, oh, I should have done that earlier. I just realized it's only a magic loop. It's not knotted. So what you want to do, you can weave it in, but don't overdo it because it's going to be tucked inside. It shouldn't come undone. But still, you should weave it in. I'm thinking no, but yes. And all you need to do is just go through a few stitches up the top. I wouldn't overdo it. Just weaving. Don't sew pieces together. You're just weaving. So even then, I'm not even going to pull. I'm just going to a gentle tuck. All right. So it's very stormy, the weather today. You can't hear it, but it is. And it's a bonus because that means the builders aren't working. There you go. And I've just gone over a few of the different threads and that's it. I'm not going to overdo it now because it's on the inside and that should not come undone. All right. Now I should have asked you to leave a long tail here. Hopefully your tail is a good length. If not, don't stress too much. You can always add more thread. I should have asked you to leave a long tail. I did put a little disclaimer up there so that you know not to cut it too short, like I did. It is a small piece, so it'll be easy to get through. So you can use any needle for this, any sewing needle. It doesn't have to be a curve or flip one or anything. It can be anything because you're going to sew this piece to your pumpkin. So I would suggest finding the part where we slip stitch, which I can't remember where it is. Looks like there. And popping your first stitch in that top area. Okay, just around that top area. So when you come around, you'll be at the back. It doesn't really matter, you know. So there's the back, yeah. And then from here, you're going into each stitch. Like that. Oh gosh, let some tail out. And when you're in each stitch, you just go around. Anywhere you like. It doesn't. You don't have to over fuss how you're going to attach your piece, yeah? And then you go into the very next stitch or the second stitch. It doesn't matter. It's what's easier for you. There's no right or wrong way of doing this part of your piece, yeah? And let's try another stitch. And keep going in the round. I might pop the rest of this on fast. You can always slow it down on your end, yeah? I'm going to pop the rest of this on fast, and that's the back, isn't it? We want to make sure, though, that it is visible like that. Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. And I'm going to pop it on fast, and off we go. All right, so when you're near the end of your piece, I'm near the end, I'm almost there, I would still do, I don't know, maybe go through a few stitches in there like that. Go right through the, oh, don't throw it away. Go right through on the inside. In fact, I might just go down underneath the stitch we just made. Now, hopefully your tail is longer than mine. And just go in to the inside like that. Pull your needle through and it'll come through there. And all you're going to do here is cut it. That's all you needed to do. I wouldn't fuss too much about it. That's not coming undone. And just give it a gentle tug and it hides inside the fluff. Make sure you've gone through a lot of the fluff on the inside. Yeah. And look at that. It's so cute. It's so cute. And there you go. Ta-da! That's your pumpkin done so far. Alrighty guys, so today what you created was this gorgeous pumpkin, Lovey. That's part 1 of your Lovey, okay? In part 2, you will be creating his dress or his skirt, the blanket, whichever you want to call it, and then you will be creating the border round as well. All right, so thank you very much for joining us in part 1 of our Lovey. Join us tomorrow for part 2. And I will see everyone then. In the meantime, join us on our lives at 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons, 10 a.m. Saturday mornings, Melbourne, Australia time. My name is Mary. This is Crochet Designs, and ciao for now.